Last thing I want to talk about Arkansas football. So the Arkansas Razorbacks defeated Texas 40-21. Now, this was a game that I predicted Arkansas to win, even though I wasn't able to put out my official predictions. And Arkansas is kind of like my adopted football team for this year. I am a Arkansas football fan for this year. This is a team that I'm taking over as, like a part-time fan. And I'm rooting for since the Miami Hurricanes suck. And they haven't really gave me much to cheer for. So I'm rooting for Arkansas because I love rooting for the underdog. And I always have like this second team that I root for aside from Miami that, kind of it's an interesting story to watch. Last year was Indiana. The year before that it was Minnesota. I like watching these teams who seem to come out of nowhere and have success. And Arkansas is a team that I've kind of been ahead of the curve before the season even started. Like, if you guys go back and watch my Why Arkansas be the most improved team in college football, I said that I believe that Arkansas is the biggest sleeper in the SEC West. A lot of people are picking LSU and Ole Miss, but I believe it's going to be Arkansas. As a matter of fact, I think that Arkansas is going to be the second best team in the SEC West this year. I think they're going to be better than Texas A&M. I think they're going to be better than LSU. And they have a game against Texas A&M coming up in like 2 weeks. They play Georgia Southern on the 18th, and then they play Texas A&M the following week after. So, that's going to prove if I'm right or wrong, if Arkansas does end up being the second best team or not. But I believe that they are better than Texas A&M. And when you look at the performance that they had against Texas, it was really impressive. And Arkansas's offensive line really took over that game. This team was able to run for a bunch of yards. AJ Green was averaging 9.6 yards per attempt. Raheem Sanders was averaging 6.2 yards per carry. Dominique Johnson. The way they were able to run the football was really impressive. And Texas is a pretty solid football team, okay? I don't want nobody to feel like, oh, Texas was overrated like always. I feel like Texas is going to be a really good team this year. They should still be around the top 15, somewhere around that range. So Arkansas got a really good win against a really solid Texas program. Even though Steve Sarkisian is in his first year and Texas is still trying to figure things out and get things, heading in a good direction. But overall, if you're a Texas fan watching this, there should be no shame in you losing to Arkansas. And you want to know what's crazy? So when I was researching facts or stats and notes for the game, because I was going to preview this game, the Texas-Arkansas matchup, but I wasn't able to get to it because schooling took over. I went on the Bleacher Report app, and Bleacher Report has the community section where fans can talk about things and stuff like that. So I went in the Texas community tab on the Bleacher Report app, and I said, hey, Texas fans, what are your biggest concerns about Texas going into this Arkansas game? Now, a good amount of Texas fans were pretty reasonable. They said the run defense, they don't really know how Hudson Card is going to perform in his first road game. And then the majority of them probably said something like, oh, I'm not worried about Arkansas and stuff like that. And Arkansas won the game. And I've been telling people, man, a lot of people keep sleeping on Arkansas football. This team is going to be one of the best teams in the SEC West this year. You want to know why? Because they're really good up front. They're really good on the offensive line, and they're really good when it comes to their defensive line as well. I think their offensive line is the best offensive line in the SEC. Better than Georgia and better than Alabama. And if you can win up front, and you're able to handle your own up front, you're going to be in the majority of games that you play, because that's basically what it comes down to. A lot of people forget, they try to make football all about wide receiver and, cornerback and stuff like that. At the end of the day, it comes down to, can you win up front? Can you handle your own up front? And Arkansas can do that. And you have the quarterback in KJ Jefferson. I know he didn't have the best game from a stat sheet performance, but he didn't really need to do too much because of how dominant Arkansas was when it came to running the football. So you have a game against Georgia Southern coming up. Then that's when the season really starts. Okay, you got to play Texas A&M. A&M, you play Georgia, you play Ole Miss, then you got to play Auburn. Like, they have a really tough schedule coming up. And I don't know if they're going to be able to win all those games, but I really do like them to pull off the upset against one of those teams. I like them to be either A&M, Georgia, Ole Miss, and I'm pretty confident that they'll beat Auburn. But I really like this Arkansas team. This is a team that I have adopted. This is my adopted college football team for this season. I'm rooting for Arkansas. I want them to have a lot of success. And before the season began, I said that I can see Arkansas winning 9, maybe 10 games this year and surprising everybody and being the second best team behind Alabama in the SEC West this year, because this is a really good football team. You have talent at wide receiver, a lot of experience at wide receiver, and you got a lot of experience on defense. A lot of people got to remember that the only player that I believe Arkansas lost was a defensive lineman. I believe his name was Jonathan Marshall. They lost him to the NFL, but outside of him, like, they have pretty much all their starters returning. So, I mean, this is a team that's experienced, they're talented, and this defense is really, really good. Like, this defense is going to be really interesting to watch going against the A&M offense that's still trying to figure things out. Like, Arkansas, ladies and gentlemen, don't be surprised if you see Arkansas beat Texas A&M or Georgia, because I definitely feel like they're going to end up pulling off the upset against one of those two teams. Maybe it's going to be A&M most likely, because we don't know what's going to happen with their starting quarterback right now, because he went down with an injury against Colorado. So we don't really know what's going on. But either way, man, like, Arkansas is for real. A lot of y'all need to wake up on Arkansas. Sam Pittman is building something special. And a lot of people don't realize that Arkansas has been one of the more better teams in over college football history. Like, this is one of the most winning programs in all of college football. You know, they're not like a diehard blue blood like Texas or USC. You know, you don't really have, you know, the tradition and pageantry that those programs have, but they're kind of a blue blood in their own right. You know, like, they may not be a national championship contender, or they haven't been a national championship contender like USC or Texas has been in the past and whatnot, but Arkansas has been a pretty consistent program for over the last couple of years historically. So it's really good to see this program have success. Arkansas fans are really good. You guys are really big supporters of the channel. So, of course, it's only right that I adopt Arkansas to be my adopted team that I'm going to root for outside of Miami this season. And I'm rooting for Arkansas, man. Like, I really like what Sam Pittman is building. This is a team that has a lot of experience. And this team, in my opinion, is going to end up being the second best team in the SEC West this year. Make sure that you go ahead, you screen record this, you screenshot it, you save it, do whatever you got to do. Arkansas is going to be the second best team in the SEC West. And I think I said this before, but if I haven't said it before, I'm saying it again. Arkansas, ladies and gentlemen, will be the second best team in the SEC West. I've been saying this all off season that a lot of people are really sleeping on Arkansas. Arkansas will be the most improved team in college football this year, and so far, they're proving me right. So you guys let me know down in the comment section down below how you guys feel about Arkansas. Do you guys feel like this team is for real? Do you guys feel like they can end up being the second best team in the SEC West this year? Do you think they can end up pulling off the upset against either Georgia or Texas A&M? Sound off down below.